Welcome back, everybody. I'm back here for some more math instruction for you. As always, if you find that you need help beyond what I've been able to do here, your parents know how to get a hold of me, and I'm happy to help talk you through it. Today we're going to be talking about mixed numbers. Now, a mixed number is a combination of a whole number and a fraction. We've been working with fractions for a while now, so this is going to seem pretty easy to you. The first part of your assignment shows you two different ways to see a mixed number and how to represent a mixed number. So the first example on your page shows a sandwich and then half a sandwich. They want to represent that with a whole number and a fraction. So if we're looking at that sandwich on the page, we have one whole sandwich and one half of another sandwich. So here's the whole number and here's the fraction that goes with it. The other way that they're showing you today how to represent a mixed number is by using a ruler. On the ruler on your page, you'll see that the measurement is just past 2 inches. In this case, it happens to be 2 1/4 inches, which is also another way to say 2 1/4. So if we're going to represent that, we're going to put the 2, because it's 2 whole inches, and then it's 1/4 of another inch. So that's two of the ways they're going to show us how to represent that today. As you move further down the page, you'll see that there's a question about apples. And what it says is, Caden had 3 apples. He cut off half of an apple to eat. What mixed number represents the amount of apples left? Well, you'll notice on your page there are 2 whole apples. So we put that as the whole number. It tends to be bigger than the fraction when you write it down, just the size of it. Now we need to look at the other part of the apple that he has left. He doesn't have a whole apple, he only has half an apple. And the way that we represent that is like this. He has 1/2, or he has 1 piece out of the 2 pieces it would take to make another whole apple. Now underneath that, they're just showing you another example. They've got it written like this, where you've got 1 here and 1 here, and then you have 1/2. Well, if we have to represent this as a mixed number, how many holes do we have? Well, 1, 2. And what fraction do we also have? 1/2. So that part's pretty easy. Let's go ahead and flip to the back of that page. Okay, so the next part of it is showing us a leaf, and they're using a ruler for this question. They want to know how many whole inches is that leaf. Well, if you take a look at the leaf, it goes all the way from 0 to 3 and a little bit beyond. So we're always going to start with the whole number. So it goes all the way to 3 inches. You can see that if you take a look at your paper. So that leaf is 3 whole inches. But then it's got a measurement a little bit further on. And this measurement goes to 3/4 of an inch. So this leaf is 3 3/4. Now, one of the things they're now going to teach you is how to break down that number a little bit. So how to take this number and represent it by its unit fraction. So I'm going to take that 3 3/4 and I'm going to write it down over here. Another way to show this mixed number is to look at how many holes and how many parts we have here. So what they've done underneath is, if you'll just follow along with me, they're showing that the 3/4 that we have can be broken down into 1/4 size pieces. So when they take the 3 3/4, if we want to show what this is, we're going to write down the holes first. So we have a total of 3 holes. So 1 plus 1 plus 1. This right here is the same thing as that whole number. Now we want to break down this fraction. If we have 3/4, we're going to write it as fourths. So there's 1/4, there's another 1/4, and here's the 3rd 1/4. Helps if I write down the right number. Don't make that a 3. I'm busy counting in my head. This is what we should have, right? Because this is the 3 holes right here. See this part? That's the same thing as the 3 holes. And the 3/4 are right here. See, there's 3 of them. 1, 2, 3. So this is going to be something that we're going to be practicing in our work today, is taking the mixed number and breaking it down to its parts, okay? Let's see. They have a little fill in the blank for you right here, and this is what we just did. We took that 3 3/4 and we broke it down, so you'll be able to fill in the blanks for that question. Underneath it, they're showing us a shaded model, and they want us to write the fraction, or in this case, the mixed number that represents it. So the first thing you're going to do is count how many whole pieces do you have. Well, in that guided practice number 1, there are 2 holes. Put it right here. Now we need to figure out what fraction this figure represents. Well, for the denominator, the bottom part of the fraction, we need to see how many pieces does it take to make a whole. So I'm just going to count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's going to be by denominator because that tells me it takes 6 pieces to make one whole. Well, we didn't make a whole with this one. They're not all shaded in. So we need to count how many pieces are shaded in. So in this case, I'm just going to count the pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this picture right here shows us that we have 2 holes right there, and we have 5/6 of this shape shaded in. Okay, you have several more questions like that. Let's look at number 2 on the next page. I'm just going to slide it over here a little closer to me. You have 2 shapes here, just like the question before. The first thing you do is count how many holes are filled up. So you have 1 hole shape filled in right here. So I'm going to write the 1 for the holes. And then we need to figure out how much of the second figure is shaded in, because it's not all the way shaded in, so it's not a hole. We can look at how many pieces altogether. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In this case, it takes 5 pieces. And how many of them are shaded? There are 2. So keep in mind that this is the whole number. I'm going to abbreviate with the number sign there. And this side is shaded pieces. And this side is all the pieces. All the pieces to make a whole. Okay? It's pretty straightforward. I think you guys are going to do well with this part. Down at the bottom are some more examples of how it's going to ask us to break down those numbers. So let's do another example together. Let me switch to blue. Number 8 has 3 1/4. So just like the one that we did earlier, we're going to break down this whole number into its pieces. So we need 1 plus 1 plus 1. That represents this whole. Then, because we only have 1/4, all we have to write down is 1/4. If that number was a 2, we would have to write down 1/4 2 times. Let's do one more of those together. Let's see, 5 1/2 is the next one, so that's number 9. So if we have to break it down into its whole numbers, we've got to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because those represent those 5 holes, and then we have 1/2. And they're kind enough to give you little blanks to fill in, so you'll know you're putting down the right numbers in the right places. That's always helpful. Let me see if there's anything else on this assignment that you guys would need help with. You're such smart kids, I know you don't need too much help. Let's take a look. All right, number 12 has a word problem. It's the same kind of process here, but instead of being a picture or a diagram for you to use, they actually put it in a word problem. So let's read that word problem and do one of those together. Number 12 says, Alex has 1 whole orange and 1/4 of a second orange. It says to write a mixed number that represents the amount of oranges he has. So let's come up here where I've got a little space to work. And we're going to put in Alex's oranges. Now the information we need is already in our problem. So it says he has 1 whole orange, right? So if I'm drawing the picture of it, there's the 1 whole orange. And then he has 1/4 of a second orange. So here's the second orange. If they're saying he has 1/4, that bottom half of the fraction tells me, oh, that's not a very straight line. Bottom half of the fraction tells me how many pieces it takes to make 1 whole. So I'm going to split this up into fourths because it says he has 1, so he's got this whole orange, and he's got 1/4. Now, how do we write that as a fraction? Well, do our whole number first. We have 1 whole, and this part shows us he has 1 piece out of the 4 pieces it takes to make a whole. So that's how we represent that using a mixed number. Now, I don't think you're going to need anything else for that particular page. So again, if you have any questions, your parents know how to get a hold of me. You can do it, guys.